I want to bring in CNN's Malika Henderson, along with the Republican strategist, CNN political commentator Alice Stewart. I also want to welcome here to the Situation Room our brand new CNN commentator, Kate Bedingfield. She served as communications director in the Biden White House. Guys, thanks to all of you for joining us. Kate, what do you make of DeSantis' plan now to run this new insurgent campaign, if you will? What do you make of this pivot from the Florida governor?
Well, I think that campaigns can make logistical changes. They can run leaner operations. They can scale down their spending. But I think the problem for Ron DeSantis is his positions are so far outside of the mainstream. I mean, this is an election that is going to be decided by an incredibly narrow band of essentially independent voters across the country. And what we see from Ron DeSantis over and over again, and what we saw just Friday of this week, was a doubling down, a tripling down on some of the most extreme social issues, some of the most hardcore right-wing positions that aren't appealing to that audience. So I think for his campaign, there may be questions about tactical changes, but unless he's overhauling an entirely different message, I don't think that he's going to be able to get traction with the mainstream voters that he needs to ultimately win a general election. And here's the other thing I would say. Even if his campaign is able to do that, even if he's able to become the nominee, he's going to be dealing with an aggrieved Donald Trump, who is going to be angry, who's going to be, I mean, can we imagine a world where Donald Trump says Ron DeSantis rightfully won the nomination? I'm not sure we can imagine that world. So he's going to be up against a Democratic opposition in President Biden and someone in Donald Trump who I think is probably not going to let him have a clear shot at the nomination.
As Kate would know, just like many of us, if there's ever a time to hit the reset button, right now is the time to do so. We're so early on in the campaign, and there's a lot of time between now and the debates and certainly the Iowa caucus. And look, it's one thing if you hit the reset button and you don't have any money and you don't have any momentum. He has $150 million between his campaign and the PAC, so that's a great thing. And his campaign has said not only are they hitting the reset button, but he is going to do the full Grassley. He's going to go to all 99 counties in Iowa, and you know that's extremely important. And getting out there and doing more small retail politics types events, talking with people, connecting with them one-on-one. And we also saw him expanding his media footprint, doing the interview with Jake Tapper last week, and also doing more local media in Iowa and others outside of just the right-wing type of media. So I think this is a good time, but you also have to keep in mind he's getting a lot of attention, as well as Donald Trump. There's candidates out there that are really making headway out there in Iowa. Tim Scott really lighting up rooms, and I'm hearing this from GOP officials in the state of Iowa. He's under the radar, but he's certainly on the hearts and minds of a lot of people in Iowa. So there's a lot of people still need to keep an eye on.
It's interesting. I want to look at Iowa right now. Nia, DeSantis has pushed the argument that in a general presidential election, he's more likely to beat Biden than Donald Trump is. But that's not necessarily how Iowa caucus goers see it. Take a look at these numbers in this new Fox business poll that just came out. You see 45% say Trump is the most likely to beat Biden, nearly double the number who picked DeSantis.
Yeah, and listen, a lot of those Iowa caucus goers who are Republicans truly believe that Trump already beat Biden, right? They're essentially election deniers. So I think this kind of logical argument that you see DeSantis and his campaign making, that he is more electable than Donald Trump, it just doesn't really fly. People want to feel something from their candidates. They want to feel something for their candidates. And Donald Trump has that in spades. Even though you look at the Iowa electorate among the GOP, it's essentially evangelical voters, right? And Donald Trump didn't win Iowa in 2016. He narrowly lost it to Ted Cruz. But evangelical voters still like a lot of what Donald Trump is offering. They like what he did with the Supreme Court. They like now the sort of things that he's talking about in terms of abortion. He doesn't have as conservative a position as Ron DeSantis. But listen, this sort of logical argument doesn't really make a difference, I think, with a lot of voters. They really want to be moved by personality, and Donald Trump is their guy.
Good point. It's interesting, Nia, DeSantis is also doubling down on the state's new standards for Black history, which insist this new standard that at least some slaves benefited from their enslavement. Republican presidential candidate Will Hurd tweeted this about the changes. Let me put it up on the screen. There you see it right there. Unfortunately, it has to be said, slavery wasn't a jobs program that taught beneficial skills. It was literally dehumanizing and subjugated people as property because they lacked any rights or freedoms. What do you make of this controversy?
Listen, it's jarring to hear a presidential candidate in 2023 make similar arguments that slave owners made, slave masters made about slavery, this argument that somehow it was good for African Americans. I think to Kate's point, this is why Ron DeSantis is having such a hard time. He really is sort of doubling down on these issues, really, I think, making a campaign about issues that a broad electorate doesn't really care about. Will Hurd obviously speaking the truth about slavery. It was dehumanizing. Millions of enslaved Africans and enslaved black people died as a result of slavery. They were property. And so this idea that there was some sort of upside for African Americans is just ridiculous.
I think that's exactly right. And I think that the more that Ron DeSantis is out and his campaign is sort of flailing, a flailing campaign can also bring down the whole party, because it's reminding people, as he's making this play, this more and more aggressive play, saying things like, slavery was actually good in some cases for African Americans. He's reminding people what the Republican Party broadly stands for. If your choice is Donald Trump, who has said all sorts of appalling things, now Ron DeSantis, who is parroting a lot of that in an attempt to win those same voters, that is not a winning strategy for a party who is trying to appeal to a broad swath of the country. And so for President Biden and the re-election campaign for him, their challenge is to really make this election a choice, draw that contrast, and every time a Republican steps forward and says something like that, they're reminding the American people what they stand for.
I think it's important to keep in mind, majority of Americans, Donald Trump has a chokehold on his base, 1/3 of the Republicans. But rational Republicans realize we don't need these culture issues. We don't need these woke wars. What we need is an optimistic vision for the future. We need someone that's going to focus on kitchen table issues. We all say and we all hear economy is the big issue. And those kind of ideas are top of mind for voters. That's where President Biden is going to have a difficult time. The economy is not his friend. Despite what you and a lot of Democrats say, Americans don't feel good about their economic situation, and poll after poll shows that. And if they don't feel good about the economic situation, they're not likely to support someone who's running on the economy.
Well, let me get Kate to respond to that, because as we know, the president has struggled to convince Americans that the economy is in good shape, that he's doing a good job as far as the economy is concerned. I want you to listen to what the former House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, told our Dana Bash yesterday. Listen to this.
It has to be messaged. It is a legitimate question. I ask myself all the time, too. This president did such a remarkable job. It's a busy job being president. I can say that as being speaker. You're doing your work. But he's just going to have to make sure the American people know at that kitchen table what this means to them.
Why is the president having such a hard time convincing the American public that he's doing a good job as far as the economy is concerned?
Well, I think you have to remember we're coming out of a once-in-a-generation pandemic, a few years where our economy was essentially shut down to zero. People felt a level of uncertainty and fear and concern that they hadn't felt on that scale in a very long time. And so I think we are continuing to see the economy get better. We see encouraging signs. We see historic numbers of jobs created. We see, for the first time, wages outstripping inflation, which is a really important metric. So I think the former speaker is right. The president's going to have to continue to really bang that drum. And I know that he's very focused on that, and that's something that he's going to continue to do for the duration.
As James Carville used to say, it's the economy, stupid, when going into a presidential election. And he was right. Still is right, probably, as well. Kate, welcome to CNN. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Alex and Nia, you've both been at CNN for a long time. Good to have you as well.